Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I'm rapidpeach and thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I want to talk to you about 4 similar yet distinct sexualities. These sexualities are omnisexuality, pansexuality, polysexuality, and bisexuality. Cat butt. Hello, cat. There's a lot of discourse around whether the labels for all of these different sexualities should exist, with those people usually arguing that it just all sounds like bisexuality. That, however, is not the case. As I said, each one of these sexualities is distinct and has their own defining characteristics, so it is a good thing that all of them exist, in my mind. So let's get into talking about the ins and outs of these 4 sexualities. And by the way, throughout this video, I'm going to be saying sexuality, but you can also substitute sexuality out for romantic. So when I say omnisexuality, you could hear omniromantic. The difference there just being that somebody is sexually attracted to someone versus romantically attracted to someone. Not that big of a deal, but just in case you were curious. So, pansexuality. Pansexuality is the attraction to all sexes and genders without any preference. A lot of people will refer to pansexuality as being gender blind. It just means that you can be attracted to any person, any kind of person, without their gender or their sex having any role on your interest in them. So people who are pansexual can be attracted to insert gender here. Men, women, demigirls, demiboys, agender people, gender fluid people. Anyone under the sun a pansexual person can be attracted to. The sex or the gender of the person does not have any role on the pansexual person's attraction to them. I myself am pansexual. This is how I experience sexual and romantic attraction. I am attracted to the person rather than their genitals or their gender. Next we have omnisexuality. Omnisexuality is very similar to pansexuality with one key difference. So if you're omnisexual, you can still be attracted to any sex or gender. However, you may have a preference for specific sexes or genders. So what makes that different from pansexuality? Again, if you're pansexual, the sex or gender of the person you're attracted to has no play on your attraction to them. However, if you're omnisexual, you can still be attracted to anybody, but you may notice that you have preference towards certain kinds of people. For example, you might be attracted to all different people, but you have a slight preference for non-binary people, or people born with certain genitalia over others. So even though it's a small difference, it is still a very key difference between pansexual and omnisexual. Next, we have polysexual. Polysexual people are probably the closest to bisexual people, if you're familiar with the term bisexual but not polysexual. So polysexuality is the attraction to many genders, but not necessarily all of them. So there are a plethora of gender identities out there, literally dozens upon dozens. And polysexual just means that you are attracted to many of them. It could be 5, it could be 50, but it's not necessarily all genders. So an example of what someone's polysexuality could look like is that they're attracted to a plethora of people, all kinds of different sexes and gender identities, but they're not attracted to women. And this is the key difference between pansexuality, omnisexuality, and polysexuality. Polysexuality being attracted to many genders, but not all of them. And lastly, the smallest in scope out of these 4 examples, we have bisexuality. Bisexuality is probably the term that you're most familiar with, and it is the attraction to 2 or more sexes or genders. Someone who is bisexual could be attracted to men and women, or they could be attracted to non-binary people and women, or they could be attracted to men, women, and non-binary people, but not a lot of other gender identities. Another cat enters the chat. A chat enters the chat. Haha. Hi, Tygo. How do you say cat in French? Chat. 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 Don't include any of this, I'm so sorry. Bisexuality is definitely the most common of these 4 terms, although a lot of people who identify as bisexual could also very easily fit into one of these other categories. And that is perfectly fine, perfectly valid. The term bisexual is an older and more well-used term than the other 3 on this list, and a lot of people have a lot of connection to the identity of bisexual, even if they might fall a little bit closer into polysexual, for example. That is no reason to invalidate that person's bisexuality. And on the topic of validation, all 4 of these sexualities are completely valid, and they deserve to have their own terms. As I've laid out here, every single one of them has their own specific characteristics. and no two of these four are the same. So it's important that we understand the differences in these sexualities and that people can learn these terms and see what applies best to them. I myself identified as bisexual for about 10 years before I learned the term pansexual and realized that that fit with my sexuality a lot better. I hope that this video has been helpful to you in understanding the differences and similarities between pansexuality, omnisexuality, polysexuality, and bisexuality. If you have any questions about any of them, go down into the comments and leave it there. I'll be in the comments answering any questions you have, and I'm sure some of the other people watching this video would be happy to answer your questions in the comments down below as well. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful or interesting, make sure you leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. About 94% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed, which pains me deeply, so head on down there, subscribe, make sure you get notified every time that I post a new video. That is all for me from now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the internet. Tschüssi!